Statistics Canada reports close to 9% of Canada's population lives in poverty, and Leilana Farha of Canada Without Poverty joins us from Ottawa. Leilana, Canada's poverty rate includes 500,000 children. Help us understand what their lives are like.
Yeah, well, one of the biggest expenses that low-income families have is housing. So if you don't have a lot of money and you're trying to find housing in Canada, it's very difficult. So what do you end up doing? You end up compromising on quality and space in particular. So you end up having a lot of people living in rather overcrowded conditions. And you have families having to really scrimp and save on food, keeping temperatures really low in the household during winter so that you're not incurring too many expenses around heating. So a very pressure cooker kind of experience. And you can imagine for a young person in elementary school or high school trying to get their homework done under those conditions, right? Not easy. Trying to participate in community events, etc. Sports, not easy because there's no extra income for those sorts of extracurricular activities.
You also have uncovered research that people are being pushed out of the affordable places in cities, which has been home for people. What did your documentary work uncover about cities not being able to cope with the need for affordable housing?
It's actually a global phenomenon, but it's really playing itself out in cities and, not just the big cities in Canada, but even smaller cities like Windsor and Hamilton and Peterborough and et cetera. What's happened is we have a new housing landscape. We have big financial actors playing in the housing system. What they're doing is they're buying up by the thousands units that they deem to be undervalued or affordable by, common parlance. And they're moving in, they're purchasing these units. They're doing often cosmetic renovations or renovations that really are not necessary to the properties. They're using that as a vehicle for raising rents, and that's putting even more pressure on low-income families who are then either self-evicting because they realize, heck, I'm not going to be able to pay this rent, or they fall in arrears and then they're evicted. And then they're faced with, having to look around. Well, where am I going to live? They're being pushed out of their communities and their neighborhoods because there is nowhere that's affordable. It's a real crisis in this country, and it's one that I'm not sure is really being grappled with by governments at different levels in the way that should happen to remedy the problem.
Okay, so housing is one problem. The poverty levels are actually shocking when you think of well over 3 million Canadians, a family of four, living on less than $3,000 a month. That's what the poverty rate is around. What are they doing without?
The cost of food in this country is going up. And the alarm bells were raised about that. So people are really being pressured on both sides of, the most important things, housing, food.
Thank you, Leilana Farha from Canada Without Poverty and UN Special Rapporteur on the right to housing. Thank you for joining us today.
Marna, thanks.
Hit subscribe and the notification bell to get our weekly episodes and web exclusives.